We're live. As close as you can. It's the best I can do on this floor until we decide where you wanted this table. No, it's tight, guys. Sorry. Hey,
All right, we're ready to go.
That's all right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Hey, Sans Hollow, Dave Brown, and we're here with our good friend Dave Klaus. Dave, thanks for coming today.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Well, we're doing a little remodel again on the studio, and producer Rob, what do you think so far?
I got a couple challenges, but we'll figure them out.
Yeah, we're squeezing it in here pretty tight. We try to get a different look here and stuff. But, you know, Rob, we've had a busy time, and we just decided to go for it no matter what as far as how this looks in here. I think the more of the focus really is, when I'm watching podcasts, I'm really kind of focused on what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really focusing on the backdrop, even though, you know, we changed it around a little bit and stuff. So, but Dave's here. Dave's a really good friend of ours. And Dave, we've known each other now for years and years. Go to church together to start with.
Yeah.
Okay, but first of all, I got to set some ground rules. We have to talk into the microphones because this is an audio broadcast.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
the microphones are very key to the production here. Sorry about that.
No, we're good.
That's
Rob,
okay.
see, that's why he's producer. But Dave is somebody that I've always been fascinated with because he says it like it is. It's straight over the plate. He can be very serious. He can also have a great sense of humor too. You do a few impersonations.
Well, let's get out there and win one for the Gipper.
I've seen some of your longer versions and stuff. It's, you know, one thing we talk about a lot on this show, Dave, and Paige too, is we like to laugh. And so laughter is like the best medicine.
Very important.
Very
I agree.
important.
I concur.
So, I mean, but one of the things that you're very, very talented at is weapons, guns, you're into politics, you do all that kind of stuff. And so,
yeah.
Really, one of the things I wanted to start off with today, we're not going to touch on as much as we thought, but when it comes to weapons, you've been kind of my mentor. You've taken some of my older pieces and reconditioned them. And I don't know how to do that. You do. But talk a little bit about, you know, what your love of NRA, the guns, and why they are not bad. They're good.
Well, the Second Amendment is literally, it's the amendment that protects all others. History is replete with examples of what happens to a society once they've been disarmed. I have a T-shirt that pretty much sums it up, and it shows a picture of an AR-15 and says, "The fact that they want to take this away means they plan to do something to me that I'd shoot them for." Essentially, the only reason why the people on the left want to disarm us is so they can dominate us, because they plan to do bad things to us. The initial meaning of the Second Amendment, it was not for hunting, it was not for self-defense, although those things are very important. The initial and most important meaning of the Second Amendment is to protect ourselves against our own government should it become tyrannical. That is job one of the Second Amendment.
What would you say to somebody like, I have down in my garage, I have a little, you know, all the Constitution and then the amendments. And I'd recommend everybody out there to have these little tablet booklets. I always pick up extra when I can to hand them out to people. But when you start looking through the amendments and you really read it yourself, you're not relying on Fox News or ABC or, you know, heaven forbid, George Stephanopoulos, you know, to explain what it is, you start to learn stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you start to learn the more of the details of the Second Amendment. And so I just think, you know, like Rob, we talk about this a little bit. I'm probably a little bit more into guns than you. Dave's more into guns than I am. But I think being into guns is more like, you know, people have, like I was just showing you that I paint, right? It's just one of my things I started doing later in life.
And you're quite good at it, by the way.
Thank you. Which one did you like the best?
I like them all.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, can I jump in here? Because, you know, Dave, I'm actually from the Midwest. I'm not sure I may have mentioned that. So, very regional. I mean, there's obviously a lot of deer hunters, a lot of hunting, you know, culture in the Midwest.
Big time.
Really grew up with it.
Yeah.
You know, I was in the military myself, so I'm definitely exposed to guns and had that sort of training. But really out here in the West, it's almost to a different level. It's I don't want to say fanatical, but it's really very high energy. I mean, people really get into the guns out here.
Big time gun
And
culture.
it's just crazy because coming from the Midwest, I thought, oh yeah, people are really into it, but then out here, you guys are really into it.
Yeah. Well,
And why would you say it's so regional? I mean, what do you think that's about?
I think the reason for that is because we are up against so much opposition out here. It forces you to take a greater interest in it. And of course, I mean, there's the recreational aspects, you know, hunting and, you know, just going out target shooting with buddies. But we also now, we live in an increasingly high crime environment because of what the politicians have done is because, and of course, you know, it's location specific. This is, I think, more attributed to big cities. But the fact that they are not enforcing the laws that are on the books, they are not imposing the necessary penalties that make gun crimes not worth carrying out. And so what they will attempt to do is they will attempt to make it look like they are actually doing something about crime, but their approach to it is to restrict the rights of the individual citizen to keep and bear arms. So we absolutely have to take a heavy interest in it because our rights are constantly under assault.
Yeah, I think also too, I mean, like, you know, where we live, right where we're at in Olana Valley, we're in a town of about 26,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a little town called Dundee, 3,000 or 4,000, 5,000 people right next to us. But we have towns, you know, within 8 miles of us that are pretty good size too. So, but you get out just 20 minutes from here up in the trash. We're in the mountain range of the Coast Range in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we could be looking at bear in 30 minutes from right here. So, I mean, we do have a lot of countryside compared to, I would think, you guys. We have a lot of wilderness out here where I think the recreational aspect of this
Certainly
is
do, yeah.
in play. So it is big, but when Dave said it's under attack, I just know gun shop owners who have picked up and left. They've moved to Utah. They've gone to Texas. They've gone to other places.
Rich's Gun Shop
Yeah,
in Donald. They went to St. George, Utah.
fantastic place. I love
wonderful
that.
place.
Had an indoor shooting range. It was so good to go over there and just, you know, learn.
Yeah.
Dave, tell people too, like, you know, like from Rob's perspective to my perspective, and to the people out there who really don't have, maybe they have a 22 from grandpa in the closet type thing. You know, just give a basic understanding of your feeling on what kind of guns, how you should take care of them, where you should store them, just some practical things.
Well, I mean, you know, I have different types of weapons for different uses. You know, like for instance, I have my concealed carry firearm. It has a relatively short barrel. It's easily concealable. Obviously, for self-defense, you know, you have your full-size handguns. You know, that are more like for, you know, duty use, like a police officer would use. You know, they're bigger, they hold more rounds. You know, and of course, it all depends on your usage. You know, shotgun for home defense. You can use a shotgun for hunting. But I also have intermediate range weapons. You know, AR-15s, 9mm carbines. But also, I have a bolt gun that I can actually stretch out to 600 yards if I need to shoot that far. But I mean, as far as what I would do is I would encourage people to research first and foremost gun safety. You know, you have to always operate under the principle that every single gun is a loaded gun, right, and you have to treat it accordingly. So I would first and foremost concentrate on getting to know the safety aspect, and then from there, I would encourage people to go to their local gun shop. I love Highline Firearms right here in Newberg. They're outstanding. They have a lot of knowledge. They have a huge inventory, and I would encourage people to get their hands on different types of guns and find out which ones are going to suit their needs. You know, it's like a gun that fits my big maws is not going to be good for, you know, the housewife, you know. So, like I said, they're really, really good over there with their product knowledge. They have an expansive inventory. So I would encourage people to get to know the basics in terms of safety first, and as far as for maintenance, guns are a lot lower maintenance today than they used to be modern firearms, and that a lot of that has to do with the use of polymers, like polymer frame weapons. They need a lot less lubrication. They need a lot less maintenance. But once again, that stuff's going to come. Get familiar with the safety first. The maintenance will come as you get to know firearms. And like I said, I would really encourage people to go down to their local gun store and find out which guns are going to be best for them and suit their needs.
No, that's a great answer. It's one of the biggest things I think is we talk about it all the time, Rob. If you don't know something, you don't know something.
Yeah.
What's crazy, isn't it? Like, we to be adults and stuff, especially men are terrible at this. We don't like to ask for directions. We don't like to ask for help.
No, we don't.
We don't like to. And so I remember one of my first, thing with the gun, I called you. I said, "Hey, Dave, man, I need help. I've got a couple old 22s. I know they're in great shape. I've had them since I was a little kid, but they've never been clean since I've had them, And you took them for a couple of weeks, and you weren't going to take any money. I made you take a little bit, and you reconditioned them for me, cleaned them all up. And sometime I would like to do that with you, just like,
Sure.
I just didn't pay you to have you do it. But Rob, for you, you're not a big gun guy. It hasn't been something you probably done since military, sounds like. And that's okay. I think a lot of people out there, if you're not into it, you're not into it. Some people are way into it, but think about everything that people are into. Quilting, photography, sports, big time, obviously. Golf, I'm into golf. Rob, you wanted to be into golf, but he actually, the first time I saw Rob play, not bad. He was sandbagging so bad. He was just like, I'm suck, I'm terrible. And the first hole he pars it or something like that. It was like, he used to totally sandbag. But people are into a lot of different stuff, and I think, give people the freedom to, like you, it's just good to, on the show right now. So,
Can I jump in here? Because I think one of the debates is like, you guys obviously are responsible gun owners.
Yeah.
But what about people just buying them off the streets and things that are like serial numbers that are shaved out? Like, there's this whole aspect of this illegal, this dirty gun trade. And I think it really affects the way people view guns in general, because they feel like, oh, is that a legal gun? Or do you buy that, from the back of the Quickie Mart? Or, so how do you deal with that? Because again, you got legitimate owners, you follow the rules, you advocate for rules, you advocate for safety, but not everyone's like that. And you don't know when you're seeing a gun if that person is responsible owner or if he's just a jackass.
Sure.
Dave, here we go. I think my take on that, though, Rob, is for the people out there who don't like guns, they want to frame us as the bad guys. Yeah, and that's just not true. Come on. In the history of the world, not just the last 3 to 5 years of our country being chaotic, there's a lot of bad actors out there. Mm-hmm. And when Joe Biden, former President Biden, led 20 million people over the border, and we don't know their true history. Many of them were good, solid people, want to come here for all the right reasons. Many were not. And those are the people that give guns a bad name. And that's where I think if you're against guns and you don't like the NRA and you don't like that kind of stuff, pause for a second and think about, I don't know anybody in my life, and I know lots of people, that's more responsible with their hobby. And I guess I would call it a hobby. It's what you're into, Dave, than you are with your guns. Yeah. He's incredibly responsible. And it would only ever come out in that last case of an emergency. And you have a stat you were just telling me last night on the phone about how a lot of crimes are not being reported, and then a lot of crimes are being avoided by people who are just pulling out a gun, but they're not using it. Tell us about that.
Well, there's been a lot of really misleading statistics, and one of the things that was just recently found out, we found this out during the last election, is the fact that the big cities were not reporting their crime data, and so as a result of that, you had the FBI saying to the Biden administration, oh, look at what, look at how much lower the crime rate has dropped. Well, that was all BS because they weren't getting misleading data. In fact, in some cases, they weren't getting data at all because the reporting requirements had been changed. So what happens is the anti-gunners will take that misleading data and they will use it in an attempt to try and reinforce their narrative. Like for instance, the number of times that firearms are used to diffuse potentially violent situations or to save a person's life in the event of a violent situation was grossly underreported. So
why was it being underreported?
it was grossly underreported because the cities were not reporting their crime data.
Which cities?
I would have it in the mail, like New York, Chicago, LA, essentially Seattle, blue run city, blue dominated cities, Democrat cities.
Why would they withhold that data?
They would withhold that data because it helps to reinforce their anti-gun narrative, either by virtue of the fact that, okay, guns in the hands of citizens, the more guns you have in the citizens equals a larger problem, or the flip side of that is that a person carrying concealed in public really doesn't do that much to protect them or to protect society.
So to Rob's point of saying, all these bad actors, that get a gun back to Quickie Mart, Chicago is probably our most dangerous city. It seems like
They're the poster child for it.
I mean,
Absolutely.
massive amounts of gangs and crime.
Yeah.
What Rob's saying is the gangs and stuff back there, they're not going to like a Highline gun shop and doing all the right paperwork and doing all the background checks. They're buying a gun out of the back of somebody's van.
And a gun that was more than likely stolen.
Yeah. I mean, I think people out there, you got to look at that kind of stuff and say, the practicalities are, I don't like guns. The practicalities are, but why? All this crime data and this so-called gun data back in, say, a town like Chicago, is coming from guns that they're not coming from a legitimate person like Dave or a Highline gun shop or anything like that. These are illegal guns coming stolen, and they're being dumped into markets like that for, there are no paperwork.
Yes, exactly. Well, and another thing that I'd like to add too is that, so you're not comfortable with firearms per se. There are non-lethal options that are out there. Like there's a company called Byrna, BYRNA, and Saber that make essentially CO2 powered firearms that shoot projectiles like pepper balls and kinetic rounds that can actually stop a threat without having the consequences of taking a life. Like one of the things that I have to protect myself is I have concealed carry insurance. That God forbid, and especially depending upon if I'm in a blue jurisdiction and I have to wind up pulling that trigger in self-defense, which for me is an absolute last resort. I have access to an attorney. I'll be bonded out immediately. I get paid to go to court, and I have up to $1 million protection. I think it only costs me about $30 a month. So there's less lethal means that are out there for people to be able to protect themselves.
Did it really stop somebody?
You need to take a look at the videos. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they will put somebody down for about 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, and give you plenty of time to get away. Yeah.
Why wouldn't we go to more of that kind of stuff for self-defense? Why aren't we hearing more about that?
Well, I think it's just catching on. I think this is actually relatively new technology. I mean, the police have used similar for crowd control. I mean, you're basically your paintball guns like that. Those are CO2 powered. The police, law enforcement have been using those for years. But what they've done, what I like about what these companies have done, is they've taken them and they've scaled them down smaller. And I think Byrna now makes a really, really packable, concealable version.
At the auction, remember a month ago?
Yeah.
One of those got sold for like $500
Yeah.
for the auction.
Yeah.
I wanted to look at it, but I didn't get a chance.
Well, and like I said, what it does is the aftermath of a self-defense shooting is it's pretty bad. I mean, you will be arrested. They will confiscate your firearm as evidence. Okay, you will wind up having to go to court, and in some cases, even though you are cleared of criminal charges, you will wind up being civilly sued by family members.
Yeah.
it can be a real nightmare scenario.
I wanted to get both your guys' take on this. On this one, I was thinking a lot about this week. I have friends who are police officers, and I got to work with them when I was in high school in security. I learned some. I was not a police officer, but I did learn some of their trade. But what do you guys think about when like the ICE officers now? Rob, I'll go to you first, and then we'll go to Dave. These guys are American citizens. They're police officers. They're just not like part of your local PD. They're not FBI. They're not CIA. ICE has this negative connotation. These are American citizens doing their job in law enforcement, kind of like a county sheriff or a state sheriff. That's what they do, and yet, like right now today in our hometown, we have, the far left, have an anti-ICE rally today, like literally a mile and a half from our house.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're mad at these people. They scream at them. They do all this terrible stuff to these people, and they're just American citizens, no different than police officer or state police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just unbelievable to me how disrespectful. Rob, your take?
Well, I mean, their anger is misguided, and it's being directed at the wrong people. But the facts are there have been some pretty brutal takedowns, and the people are pretty upset about that. Not saying again we disagree on the show quite a bit. I definitely think it's put the fear of God in the entire Latino community, people who are here legal and not legal. So again, I think that if you're angry, be angry at the source, not at the people carrying out the enforcement. Those aren't the guys who are the problem.
Yeah.
So the problem is, the policies, and be quite honest with you, the fact that 2 million illegal immigrants, poured into our nation really undetected, and it's caused all kinds of issues. So, I have really conflicted feelings on that because again, we have friends who are Hispanic and Latino, and I definitely know the toll it's taken on them and their families and their friends and their social circles. However, I don't think they should direct the anger at the actual enforcement officers. So I'm not sure that really answers your question, but it's definitely
let me ask you
an emotional issue right now.
If it's taking an emotional toll, then why? That goes back to the very basic question we should have been answering for decades. This isn't just a President Trump or even a President Biden thing. It's been going on for decades where our immigration policies have been weak, not carried out correctly. And, it's like balancing the budget. There comes a time when you have to pay the piper and you have to do hard decisions. Yeah. And that time came. And I think like right now, my message, if I was president or the governor of the state of Oregon, I would want to make sure that all my citizens, especially if they're from Hispanic descent, understand that we got to go back and do this the right way. And once we're done, we're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
You're good to go. You're here to work. You're here to do a great job. I mean, on this show, we've talked about it many times, Dave. Brown, black, or white, don't care. You're a person. You're a person.
Yeah.
Now we just have a technical problem about how people came into our country, and it's creating problems all over the world.
Yeah, it's no longer are you black or white; it's are you blue or red.
Yes.
And that's the world we live in.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
So Dave, what do you think of that?
Well, I think the reason why so many people have their panties in a wad is the fact that our laws had not been enforced for so many years. And now all of a sudden we have a commander in chief that is actually serious about enforcing our immigration laws. What it comes down to is basically who controls the narrative. And you take a look at, and I've even seen this, not just national reporting, but our local reporters, which are essentially wind up being mouthpieces for the left. Rather than reporting, it is completely lopsided. I have noticed it, to where they really add to the ICE is the Gestapo narrative. And there's been so many people, and I run into this online where they're kidnapping people, they're disappearing people, and it's like, no. The fact of the matter is that law enforcement goes where the crime is. There's a verse in the Bible that is easily applicable to this. It says, "The law holds no terror for those who obey it." If you are here legally, you have absolutely nothing to fear. And even there, they are going after criminal illegals first. They're not just going and just, going to vineyards and just arresting people or farms and arresting people They have specific individuals that they are looking for. Now, there may be collateral arrests when they go to arrest those individuals. Okay? At the end of the day, if you don't have secure borders, if you cannot control who comes into your country and why, in very short order, you will not have a country. Look at what's going on in the UK right now. Look at what's going on in France. Those cultures have been lost. Those countries essentially have been overthrown by Islamic immigration. We cannot allow likewise to happen here in the United States. It's that simple. You don't put locks on your door or close your gate because you hate the people on the inside. It's because you love the people on the inside and you want to protect them. Yes, we are a nation that is composed of some immigrants. First and foremost, we are a nation of laws.
And that's a good point. I mean, the nation of laws is like, that's one that separated the United States out for a long time. Whether it's St. Louis or whether it's New Oregon, the cities and the states that are struggling with high crime and a lot of extra cost and, the issue with ICE coming in are states who don't follow laws. And we live in one of them. I mean, we're in a tough position here. Newburgh's better off than 22 miles the other way in Portland.
Oh.
I mean, we're way better off. We have a great PD here. We're good today, but that can go away pretty fast too. So remember, I told you at breakfast, we get up every Saturday morning. Me and Rob, and then Dave's here guest today, and we have flapjacks because that's where they call them in St. Louis. And today we had Jimmy Dean sausage, and we have orange juice, and we just have great breakfast. So
James Dean.
Jimmy Dean. So we did that, and we were talking. I told you both guys that a couple of just random questions. So we call it taking a left here at Santal. This one's going to be something that popped up here. There's been a lot in the last month that's came up since the movie Nuremberg came out with Russell Crowe. It's a fantastic movie, by the way. You should go see it. It's a drama all the way. This is not a shoot 'em up World War II movie. It's a World War II movie about the Nuremberg.
See that one.
Oh, you gotta go. Russell Crowe deserves an Oscar nomination at minimum for this role. Rob, have you seen it?
Does he play the prosecutor?
He played Goring.
Oh, wow.
He played Goring.
Yeah, no, I have not seen it, but I have a definite interest in this area of history. Again, as you know, I was a member of the Stars and Stripes, and one of our old reporters, the guy I actually covered the Nuremberg trials and had some great stories about how that all transpired and all that. So been very much fascinated. You can obviously find a lot of the old footage is available on the internet. It's just fascinating.
Would Amanda go?
Oh, probably, yeah, for sure.
If she doesn't or whatever, let's get a group of guys and go. I'd go see it again. What I was going to ask you guys is, I don't know if for some reason, so much more has popped up in the last couple of weeks, especially on Instagram, a lot of rare footage of Nazi Germany. And so my question to you guys now, and this just popped up on me, and I'm a history guy, is that Hitler, shot himself or in the bunker with Eva Braun.
I think it was a cyanide tablet.
Huh?
Cyanide tablet.
He did simultaneous
Oh, okay, yeah.
gunshot, and he wanted to make sure, I guess.
I know he
And
shot the
like
dog.
cancer.
The dog got shot.
Why the dog? Well, here's the deal, though.
They
There's a
shot the
whole
dog.
lot.
And for that alone, he deserves to burn in hell.
Exactly.
Yes, he does. All of there's a lot out there, and they say they have documentation coming that Hitler got out a month before that, and a large portion of people that were around him, and a lot of leaders within the Nazi Party made it to Argentina.
It was called the Rat Line.
And they got documents, they say, and there's one report where he didn't die until 1963 in Argentina. Now, I'm not saying this happened. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff coming out about all this. And what do you think?
Well, I will say the Russians supposedly have his jawbone
But
in
What
some
these-
museum somewhere.
these people are saying that's a female jawbone. That was not even a male right there. So what do you think? I mean, conspiracy theory, big time. So,
Yeah, there is the official version of it, of course, is what you just stated. Now, obviously, there were a lot of high-level Nazis, people like Joseph Mengele and others that actually did make it to Argentina via the route lines. But I don't know. I think the Hitler made it to Argentina. To me, that just kind of it smacks of conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Because there's so much documentation as to, including the people that were in the bunker.
He was insane at the end. At the end, he was just insane because he could not believe that his own people were turned against him, and he was so paranoid.
He was badass
he
crazy.
Was methed up,
yeah.
crazy on methadone and stuff.
Oh, bunch of different drugs.
Okay, but still, there's a lot of stuff going to come out here. It is an interesting conspiracy theory that he could have gotten out. To me, he seemed like the kind of guy. He was so crazy about all his protection. He had like 8 inches of armor on his big car, but then it had windows that had a soft top. But he had so many different places to go for all the bunkers he had all over the place and different things. It just seemed like he was the kind of person who would have for sure committed suicide before they could embarrass him, but also that would have kind of got himself out of there. I mean, I could see him going, yeah, me and Abe are going to go hang out in Argentina and do the best we can. There's also they say they got records of and photographs, and they've got all the money that was shipped down there. I mean, quite a bit of stuff went into play on this thing. It wasn't just hop a sub and go. So interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the Allies, you had the Russians on one side and you had us on the other, and I think that they had created a dragnet around that specific area that was, or I would say they had him holed up in such a small area. I don't see how he could have escaped.
But there's a month and a half before that final time, then you can sit back and. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories about the Russians in the United States, the UK, how they divvied it all up and all that crazy, stuff happened. But, okay, second one, you ready?
Yeah.
JFK. Now, we've heard all this stuff. There's been a lot of evidence, unclassified about JFK, the assassination, blah, blah, blah. I've been there. Fascinating story, been to LBJ's ranch. But now the evidence is coming out that for sure, it didn't go down according to the official reports at all. Not even close. So what do you think about that one?
Well, it's interesting. What's the date today?
23rd.
It's November 22nd.
Oh, yeah, today.
Today. Is it really?
Yeah, November 22nd, 1963.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it here on the stand tall with Dave Brown.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly. Well, I listened to the Jesse Kelly show, 11:90 a.m. Here in Oregon from 3 to 6, and he made up brought up a very, very good point. Is that usually what happens is the assassins wind up killing the assassins. The one person who could have really spilled the beans and really talked was Lee Harvey Oswald. And what happened to him was several days after the assassination, he was offed by Jack Ruby. Okay, so that was a massive loose end that they made sure was tied. So, but if you take a look at the way assassinations work, high profile assassinations, is that the assassinations, those who order it, wind up killing the assassins. Like, I think you could probably maybe even extend that to, I'm not going to say his name because I don't like to say the names of assassins, but the little crate that attempted to blow off President Trump's head on July 13th of 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania. There's something about that there are so many questions that are left unanswered there, but it seems like they took this, somebody groomed this kid to do this. At one point, he was really pro-Trump, and then allegedly they say something happened, and then he flipped completely hard left. Okay. How does a 20-year-old kid get up on a building inside of 200 yards of the de facto nominee of the Republican Party right before an election? We've got a ton of people seeing him. Okay. Yeah, people on the go. There, look, there's a guy up on the roof. Okay, right. No drones were flying that day. He flew a drone. He surveilled it. He surveilled it. He planned it, and for all practical intents and purposes, he pulled it off.
Yeah.
If President Trump had not turned his head at that precise moment to look at that chart, I firmly believe that I think we would be living in a much different country right now because he would have succeeded.
Yeah.
In assassinating him.
It just goes to like all of this, you know, the Russian collusions and just everything that's been thrown at us as citizens. I mean, we have to sit back at some point, and you know, David, you and I were talking earlier, and Rob, you and I talked a lot about this. Is, you know, especially in Oregon, we're a blue state. I mean, not really, but we are. I mean, Portland and Eugene and Salem, you know, they kind of steer us that way. But
the tail that wags the dog, for sure.
You know, they got us on boats right there, but geographically, I think we're like 95% red. Geographically,
Absolutely.
but
Once you get out of the major metro areas,
yeah,
without doubt.
you've got the problem is, you know, we talk about this quite often. You've got so many people that are not engaged, and it's like, well, let's just swing back towards the gun thing. You know, you get back towards the gun thing, and we've all heard, you know, the arguments from people that guns are bad, guns hurt people, guns kill people, and you know, we hear that argument. We know that's not true. All the people I know with guns are the safest people ever around guns. You would be the epitome of that. If you're around somebody like Dave, and I have been, and you're out shooting, trust me, it's real serious, real quick, real now, and everything's communicated out. There's no play.
Hot range, cold range.
No, it's just like it's very serious, which I really appreciated because I would have been that way anyway. But going with you, there was another whole level of just, you know, security questions. So then I do go out to somebody who's more in my skill level. I'm kind of taking charge a little bit because I was kind of repeating after you. And so I think when people just don't know you guys, they just don't know. And like here's another left I wanted to share with you guys. I'm older than both you guys by, you know, quite a little bit. But I started last week doing Tai Chi. Now, to me, it's a little new agey, a little goofy, a little yogi. But I've been watching this for a couple of months, and I finally went, you know what? I'm just going to give it a whirl. First day, you know what I got out of that? Balance. You have to take your left leg, and you turn your hips a little bit, and you point your left toe that way. And then after you do that a couple times through, then you have to, like, pick your foot up. So you're on your right leg. Then you'll do it on the opposite side. And I couldn't do it. And I hurt my hip and back in early August. So I was out like 3.5 months, and I felt my balance getting worse. And I just remember going, wait a minute, what just happened right there? I just did it.
Yeah.
I actually lifted my leg, you know, and my knee, and then I turned in, and I came down. Then I went to my right leg, again, lost balance, did it. And it's 7 minutes a day. And I'm not trying to sell Tai Chi. I'm just always really curious about learning something new.
Sure.
You know, I like to see something new. And so I'm going to do it for 30 days and just see how it fits in with my PT, my weightlifting, and things like that. So that's one. There was this one out there. It's like the old guy challenge type thing. Oh, the guns are huge. But I chose the Tai Chi one. You know, I'm not doing the little man bun. I'm not doing the robe. I'm not doing any of that stuff. No, I'm not going to do that stuff. You know what they say about man buns. But I mean, I think you've got to. Perfect. We could go X-rated here really quick. Rob's guy, I know Rob has something to say.
Well, no, I mean, the Bubba thing kind of caught me off guard because we were talking about a local resident we know. I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, but listen, we always have to do this every show. We have to let people know where to find us. So we are on YouTube Live. Do our live stream on YouTube Live every Saturday mornings. Watch us live. You can pick it up during the week. On the podcast side, though, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can get those through your CarPlay. So we just ask everyone to hit the subscribe button, tell your friends about us. We're not going to necessarily say everything you agree with, but that's what we do. We just like to bring topics to discuss. So, Dave, what do you think? Bring it from there.
Well,
shameless plug.
But we got to get better at that.
Of course.
Also on Instagram, TikTok, and then I'm going to start this week, Rob, with Facebook. Decided to jump back into that. So So we have the social media part and then the podcast part. And then David Medina and us are talking, and I'm excited about where that could go to on the social media side. David's somebody we think highly of, and he's willing to get down there in the front lines in Portland. And,
Yeah, I gotta say, he had a video this week where he challenged, I guess it was Representative Dexter. Is that her name? I don't, whatever. But he was like face to face, really calling her out about ICE and why was she having such a problem with this and were they illegal? So it was very well done. I was very proud of David. I know we met him. He's actually gone to 8th Creek
He's
a couple
awesome.
times,
He's really good.
and he's a hard worker, and we definitely support him.
Yeah.
Just it was really outstanding to see him do that this week.
Name's David, and then it's Medina, David Medina, PDX Portland. You go to that, and you'll find a lot of information. So, Dave, we sure appreciate everything you're doing. I'm looking forward to doing a lot more work with you.
Sounds good. Did you have time to go over the local stuff like the referendum?
Yeah, I was going to say before we kind of get rolled
Sure.
out here, I know we have a couple things coming up that affect the voters, and Dave, I know you're very well versed. So tell us what's going on with some of the referendums.
All right. Well, we have an update. What's really cool is just a tremendous grassroots effort out there. We've got 3,000 volunteers across the state out there gathering signatures to put the governor's transportation tax to referendum, so the voters actually have a chance to vote on it. Here in Yamhill County, we are already at 90% of our goal for signatures. The goal is 7,000. We're at about 6,400. Great job.
Great job, everybody out there working so hard on that.
Our goal just today alone, there's an event going all across the state. It's called Sign Across Oregon, and you can go to the notax.com website for locations for that. Where there's going to be pop-up locations and regular locations where people can go out there and has all the dates and times. Folks can go out there and they can sign. But I mean, it's critically important that we get this to the referendum on the ballot so that people can vote on it.
Dave, talk about the time frame. It's very urgent.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have essentially until December 31st to gather 78,000 ballot signatures. And of course, our goal is to get a minimum of 100,000 because the way the Secretary of State's office works, they do this every time. They're going to find this, that, and the other way to try and disqualify signatures. But there's additional battles to be fought. One that's coming up, and I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play out, but I think it's critically important that people understand this, is that the governor just signed an executive order to tweak the state's climate goals. One of the things that they have in that is called their Clean Fuels Program, where you have Exxon, Shell, and the major gasoline suppliers, where they are requiring them to come up with new blends of fuels, the cost of which it's going to be very expensive to formulate these new fuels. And the goal is to reduce something that is a naturally occurring gas in the air that helps plants grow. So anyway, that is the next battle that we're going to have to fight. So the governor has already attempted to usurp the people by taking up 30 days of the 90 days of our signature gathering time. And now she's attempting to do another end run around the referendum process via executive action. So the next battle, it more than likely is going to take place in the courts.
Dave, just this whole referendum, just so people know, this would go back in the ballot for a May election for all of us, right?
Actually, no, this is not going to be in May. This is actually going to be voted on next November. The good news about how the referendum process works is once we get the requisite number of signatures, it stops the clock.
Okay. So
instead of going into effect on January 1st of 2026, it will be delayed until we, the people, actually have a chance to vote on it.
The one thing about you guys got to remember out there, and I'm we try to be pretty nice what we say to most people, but this is the reason Tina Kotek needs to be voted out of office. Is she's going around you and me and Dave and Rob here and our spouses, and she's going around us because she wants what she wants the way she wants it. And that's no way to run a government. You can say that about President Trump. I can say that about Joe Biden. But We've got to get to the point in this country where we're getting back into actually talking and going over things until we can come to a conclusion on it. But ramrodding it down our throats with the biggest tax increase in the state of Oregon history is wrong. And you and I should be able to vote on that. Dave, what I'm hoping, Rob, I'm hoping on this thing is where somebody like a Tina Kotek, we've got to get rid of politicians like this that are so self-absorbed in their own agendas.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in the public schools. And what's happened? They've hurt public schools big time. The amount of kids that are at Newburgh High School now compared to 5 years ago is far less. And why? Because people have been waking up slowly to boys and girls sports, to pornography in the libraries. It's really there. Boys and girls locker rooms, bathrooms, a lot less stringent requirements to graduate. We're just not, really reaching a good level. We're ranked 48th in the United States in education for a reason. We're just not focusing on education. We're focusing on a lot of things other than that. And colleges are as guilty as this too, because they put their own DEI, climate change. Al Gore was one of the first people on soil climate change. How did that work for him?
Well, getting back to what the governor is doing, she's operating under the principle of the beatings will continue until morale improves. You look at Europe is backpedaling out of the climate nonsense because of what it's doing to their energy availability and energy costs. You have other areas of the country that are backpedaling out of it. But no, you think the left coast governors would? No, they're doubling down on it.
Rob, what do you think when it comes to if you had the people out there like right now, all the money we've spent in the last just even 5 years on DEI and all of the very woke, progressive, big time issues just in education, if we had taken that money instead and all the corporations we've forced to go into that stuff, if we would put that money into alternative fuels and sources of energy for our stuff, maybe in 10 or 20 years we'd have a good alternative.
Yeah, again, we're playing catch up because of some failed policies and failed decisions. So, but Dave, I know we're getting kind of tight on time, and the one thing I wanted to make sure that we got, because I know someone that's really, I know he listens to the show all the time, and he's very critical of our show, is Robert De Niro. And I was hoping Robert De Niro could maybe kind of give us a little bit of take us out for the day. So Bobby De Niro, I know you don't like us, but hey, man, we speak the truth.
Got anything there?
Got anything De Niro for us?
That's actually not one of the impersonations that I do.
Really?
No.
I thought you did do De Niro the other day. No? Okay.
No, maybe, if you guys would stop, doing all the right-wing stuff,
You talk about someone with DTS, though. That guy's got DTS.
I'm just thinking
He has TDS big time.
well, Hillary, they're being mean to me again out there. I got my twin brother Bill here. Bill, what you got to say about them people being mean to me?
Well, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
Yeah, what did you do?
So that's nine questions.
It all depends on what your definition is.
Oh gosh, and you guys.
So when he said I did not have sexual relations with that woman, he's pointing to Hillary, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Holy.
Can you blame me?
There was a thing on the internet when they were in college, Bill and Hillary Clinton, and what I wrote was these people have done so much damage to this country, it's unbelievable. As a couple.
Yes.
And I like Bill a lot more than I do Hillary, but gosh, there's just people that come along in this world. They're just like, boy, then you see them now, they're older and they've had 45 years to just, tear stuff up. But, going back, one thing that on this show, guys, and we'll include Paige in this too, we really want to expand this show to the point where we can talk about guns and we're going to say how we really feel. So I'm going to finish the show today with some hard charging, quick answer things from you guys. So less than a sentence response. Ready to go?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Rob, what do you think about guns?
Necessary.
Dave?
The absolute cornerstone of a free and civil society. And I think the founders agree.
I think founding fathers gave us the freedom to have weapons because they came from a country who didn't. And We've seen how that's worked out for England and a lot of the other countries over there. Rob, what is your feelings on Tina Kotek? Just straight up, no filter.
Failed governor.
Dave?
A rabid communist ideologue.
I think she's an incredibly self-serving to her agenda, which all I ever see when there's selfishness is bad things happen. And that's what's been going on now for many years in the governor's office. And Oregon's too great a state that, well, that's going to be the next question. Rob, what do you think of just Oregon in general right now? When there's a lot of people say they're leaving, what's your plan?
Oh yeah, I'm committed here. I love it. Beautiful, beautiful area. I could deal with the politics. But yeah, you don't get this part of the country anywhere else, obviously. But it's just so beautiful. I mean, you don't get this anywhere else.
If we don't stand and fight here, and I totally understand people fleeing to red states. I get it, especially if they have families. But I love this state. It is absolutely beautiful. Where else can you go from, a beautiful valley to the mountains to the desert to the ocean in the span of a day? We have abundant natural resources that can easily be exploited to get more jobs. But unfortunately, we have these far left politicians that are absolutely destroying everything that they put their hands to. Oregon is too beautiful of a state to surrender. It's worth fighting for. I'm going to stay and I'm going to fight.
Man, I wish I could say it better now, but I'm spot on with that. I appreciate that. A couple more guys. Rob and I talked a lot about this, Dave, so I'm sort of going to go to Rob first on homelessness in Oregon. It's everywhere, but we've got our problems, even here in our own town, Newberg.
Well, we've called it the industrial complex, the homeless industrial complex, where a lot of
Good name.
bureaucrats are making a lot of money, and people are still sleeping on the streets and still sleeping in tents, still sleeping in RVs that are broken to hell and look like trash.
Well, the governor has spent somewhere in the order of $700 million on homelessness and addiction recovery services, and we have a precious little show for it. I think people are tired of having their tax dollars extracted from them and thrown into a sinkhole. We have a government that is operating with hardly any transparency or accountability whatsoever, and I think people are sick of it.
Yeah, we got a lot of people grifting off the government, getting grants, and they've got a lot of their little nonprofits right here in town, and they're making money. And it's sad because they're making really good money to throw at a problem that they just keep creating a bigger problem, and it behooves them to get a bigger problem because they get more money. So
sure,
if you're sitting like right now and just sitting here in the studio, and you had an opportunity to speak with J.D. Vance, not President Trump, J.D. Vance, Rob, what would be your first thing you'd want to talk to him about?
Well, I'd ask, definitely ask him, what's the plan for the future? I mean, is he the future of the Republican Party? At least he's going to be, definitely a player in the Republican Party. What's the future? How do we get past some of these divides in this country?
I would say buckle up, because if the left gets into power again, they will do what they did under Biden and worse.
Yeah, I would just say, get your faith stronger. And I've been impressed that President Trump's allowed him to have so much public time.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more. I'd like to see J.D. Vance given more responsibilities, because we're not going to have another president like President Trump that sleeps for 4 hours a night and gets what he gets done. The American people are going to really miss how much he gets done when you look at all the foreign wars we've had that he's dealing with. I'm really praying for him right now, because it's a complicated issue, Ukraine and Russia. But he saved in these wars, hundreds of thousands of lives by getting involved. And it doesn't matter what he does, he still takes criticism for it. So I would tell J.D. Vance to do a lot of listening and talking, so he can pick up on how President Trump negotiates deals, how he's ahead of people on all the taxes and all that kind of stuff. What's frustrating is here in Oregon, I paid $3.59 for gas last 2 nights ago. The latest I've paid in a long time. Friend, just in Texas, Vice Chair Fanger, $2.09. So
wow,
$2.09 a gallon in Texas. We're paying $3.59 cheap. I've been paying as much as $4 a gallon for gas. So, and then, our governor wants this new, tax increase. What would you say, Rob? Last question of the day. I just know in Yamhill County, I'm the chair of the Yamhill County Republican Party, but we have a lot of people out there in different organizations that are working really hard to, get the word out on this referendum. And I think it's one of those things where, Dave, I know you're really involved in it. It's probably the best thing I've seen come down the pipe where the Republicans can rally around a subject, do great at it, get a win.
We're really unified on it.
Really unified, exactly. And I think this is going to be awesome moving forward. We really needed a win coming from the people, not from President Trump. We know we got that win, but we needed something within the Republican ranks to be a win where people are fighting, they're doing a job, they're standing out in the cold, getting the signatures, and they're doing it as a team, a Republican team. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of Democrats feel the same way. They don't want to be taxed. And I think it could be the launching pad into the ability for Republicans and Democrats to do more talking. Moderate. We know we got the far left side of the Democratic Party.
Sure.
They're gone. I mean, the AOC's, Jasmine Crockett's, it's not good. And then there's some wacky Republicans too. But what would you say to all the people out there?
Marjorie Taylor Greene come to mind.
Yeah. Well, there's a rumor that she's going to step down. Marjorie Taylor.
She's already announced that she's resigning.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a fake news or if that was real news. But,
yeah, they have a slot for her on The View.
Okay, nice. I believe it. Well, Dave, I'll tell you, what a great show. Dave, thank you for being here. Enjoy it.
Thanks again for having me.
We can definitely have you back and do some more gun talk.
All right, sounds great.
Dave?
Hey, Stand Tall with Dave Brown, for producer Rob, one of the best people I've ever met. Rob, thanks so much for all your help doing all this. And, we've had guests before, but this is the first one in studio on the new camera and everything. And as we keep tweaking this thing, Dave, we definitely have you back. We didn't get to all our subjects today. And we'll check out the gun thing. I would have liked to have had some visual aids and stuff today, but we've got to make sure everything we're doing is above board, for the people that regulate all this stuff.
We don't want to scare anybody.
No. And we definitely want to be bigger than The View. So, yes.
That's not hard.
And then, the one thing that we obviously talked about, we didn't get to talk about a lot this time, was faith in Jesus. And you want to bring us out?
Yeah, all three of us are faith-based men. And Dave and I both go to Achy Creek, so we're a little smarter than Rob. I'm just teasing. Rob, you're going to have a whole new church up here, man. I can't wait. I want to go. I'm going to go with you. Rob's going to take me to the Catholic Church. I've been there before. It was either a church service or a wedding. I don't know which one it was. We were up and down a lot. But no, it's a beautiful new church.
Good exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to teach you about Catholic guilt before I bring you there.
Of course.
No, Paige, super strong Christian. I asked Paige's question the other day, guys. We're going, our 5 things we stand for is politics, education, Jesus, sports, and people. Mm-hmm. I was dumb enough to ask Paige. I said, Paige, which one's your favorite out of the 5? And I'll show you the Instagram reel we did. She goes, well, Jesus. She goes, I kind of have to go with that one. We want to pick sports, So, the reason Jesus is so important to us is because we turned our lives over to Him. We confessed our sins. We know that He died on that cross. He rose 3 days after that. And it's documented more than anything else in the history of the world. In the Bible, It is the errorless Word of God. And I pray that you'll find a church that goes through the Bible and goes through the Bible and goes through the Bible. And all that other stuff like parking and singing and everything is definitely secondary. And you're going to church for Jesus, not necessarily yourself. If your spouse won't go, you go. They'll see your Levi's walking out the door. And if you're a man, you need to lead your family to church. And if you're a man out there, you need to lead your kids to church. And if they won't go with you today, maybe they'll go next week. And then when you go to church, make it kind of fun. Go get some lunch afterwards and make it a big part of your life. And that's about what we got today. So this is Stand Tall with Dave Brown, producer Rob, and our good friend Dave Klaus. Thanks for being here. Peace.
What did Brett say? He had a drug problem when he was a kid. He was constantly being drugged to church. I love that. It just cracks me up every time he says that. That was fun, guys. I had a lot of fun.
One time I got to go to church once in second grade.